85 percentile in quant, we need just 14 marks, 5 questions, getting hold of the foundation, and this is actually covering each and every subtopics, detailed algebra. You need to do equations and exponents, and with this you are done with your application of percentage. 10 marks itself means around 22 questions per mock, 220 quant questions. They already mean that. First day you take the mock in the first half, in the second half you analyze it. Hello guys, welcome to your channel MBA Wala English. Now today we are here to discuss about what could be possibly a best 100 days plan for quant. Now at this particular point of time we stand somewhere around 100 days away from the day, right? The day I want you guys to create the history. The day I want you guys to call it your day, your cat. So let's see how we can make this possible. So guys, before moving ahead, I would simply say one line that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one little extra. Now, how can we be that extraordinary? Let's understand. But before that, let's understand what actually quant section in CAT looks like. So when I talk about the quant section in CAT, right, it has 22 questions and 66 marks. That means 3 marks per question. Some will be with negative markings, some would be not. What actually we need to get, if I see the percentile map of quant, if you're aiming for, let us say, 85 percentile in quant, we need just 14 marks, 5 questions. If we are looking for 99 percentile in quant, 11 questions. And if we are looking for 99.9 percentile in quant, we are looking for 45 marks. That means 15 questions. And now the point is that how do we get this 15 questions correct in 40 minutes? That is somewhere around 3 minutes per question, right? Or maybe a little less than that. Now, let's have a 5-phase plan which actually help us to reach here, right? So just showing you a 5-phase plan, how would we be attacking this quant section? Let's understand. Day 1 to 10, phase 1 ignition, we will detail out each and every phase for you, don't worry. Then phase 2, we'll have day 11 to 60 lift off. Now this is the part of the preparation. When you're going through your concepts, learning each concept one by one, this is basically, getting hold of the foundation, and this is actually covering each and every subtopics, detailed, alright, that you're going to do in phase 2, covering the syllabus. Now, most of the people, when I talk to them how you're going to plan their 100 days, they simply say, sir, 100 days, we'll finish up the syllabus in 80 to 90 days, 10 days mocks. No, it does not work like that, first of all, right? Why it does not work like that? Because we actually do not give much importance to the rest 3 phases. And these 3 phases, 61 to 80 is mock way, where you're going to, of course, the name suggests, where you are going to take some mock test, exam stimulated experience, which is very, very important, so that you play on your best potential on the day. Phase 4, if I talk about day 81 to 90 final lap, when you give some mocks, there is some part which you analyze. There is some part which you identify that there lies your weakness. Then you need to strategize, like from which questions you should start with. Right? So that is, a play of permutations and combinations. From where should I start, arithmetic or algebra? Right? Should I go in the order? Should I go in the reverse order? Should I randomly attack the question? How many questions should I bookmark? Right? So that play is over here, working on the accuracy, the right questions for you. For some people, the right questions are attempt 14, get all 14 correct. For some, attempt 18, get 16 correct. Getting the point. So we need to hunt what's best for us. And that's the final lap. And if I talk about the phase 5, that's gaining confidence, staying positivity, right? Staying positive. Just, covering yourself with all the positivity and the thoughts that I can do it. All those manifestations comes into this picture, and I call that as Zen mode, right? Now, this is the 5-phase preparation. Most of the people, they just focus on these 2 and they forget about this 3. And what actually happens is you don't come up with your best potential. I have seen people scoring 85, 90 odd percentiles, which if they would have followed the right path, they would have easily crossed 95, 97 percentile. Rest depends upon the day. So let's go ahead and detail out each and every phase for you. I'll start with the phase 1, ignition. That's basically your foundation phase. Now, foundation phase tells us from which topics we need to start quant. We cannot do just, directly open up geometry and start finishing the topics from first to end. Neither modern math or number system. From where to start? Now, in quant, most dominating topics are arithmetic and algebra, and they form the foundation for each and every topic. So your responsibility is to cover percentage ratio, that is going to determine how good you are going to perform in arithmetic. And in algebra, you need to do equations and exponents. Now here I'm talking about the basics of them, right? So that you understand what is 20% of n, what is 20% more or less than n, right? You need to understand the concept of multiplying factors. You need to understand the ratios and converting equations from ratios and then solving those equations. Sometimes the equations might involve powers and turn into exponents. So these are the four areas you need to work on in the foundation, and then a little bit of simplification if you are a chap who had poor maths in the early childhood days. So simplifications of square roots, exponential powers, multiplication, divisions, fractions, decimals. So just get hold of these basics and take 10 days. Take somewhere around 4 to 5 here, 4 to 5 here, and a 1 to 2 day over here. That would work. Remember, the process of increasing, right, the confidence or the number of questions attempt, that's very slow, right? You might start from here, यहाँ तक पहुंचने में, till the point you reach over here, it will take some time. Okay, now let's jump to phase 2, lift off phase, right? Day 11 to 16. Now this is the phase where we have done foundation, right? And now we are here to complete the syllabus. Now, how to cover up the syllabus in the right order so that you don't, at a certain point feel like, dude, I have not read this. How can I understand this, right? So there has to be a right order which we need to follow. You go for step 1, then step 2, then step 3, and so on. So how does this steps look like? Let's understand. First, you need to go ahead with profit and loss. We have done percentage and ratios in the foundation phase. Now it is about the application of percentages first. Profit loss, simple interest, compound interest, mixtures. How many days? Day 11 and day 12, that means 2 days here, 3 days here, 3 days here, right? And with this, you are done with your application of percentage. And by that, you know how many questions you have covered in the CAT exam. If I take into account the last 5 years paper, then one from percentage, one from ratio, one from profit loss, one for SICI for sure, one for mixtures, and one for removal replacement. 6 questions you have covered so far. And then you jump to work rate time, 7 questions, because one will definitely come from here. And then the next 4 days for distance, time, speed, 1 question definitely from here. So each of this window gives you 1 question. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 before percentage and ratio. These are the 7 questions for sure. And then 1 day for average, 8th question. So that becomes your 8 questions of 22 questions, right? Now some of you might feel ki, sir, this is too fast. I cannot cover work rate time in 3 days. But now you just have 100 days. You cannot spend 10 days, 7 days on a topic, right? I understand this might be a little faster. But yes, later on when we'll be doing some mock test, some rectification of the weaknesses, at that time we'll do. There is a possibility that, as per this plan, some of the topics you feel comfortable with, some of the topics you're not comfortable with. Don't worry, the next 40 days when we are working on the weakness, we are working on those topics only where we are still not confident. So don't worry, alright? Now moving ahead, 27 to 29, 3 days, equations advanced. When I talk about equations and what? You already done the foundation of linear and quadratic equation. Now it is the time when you work on the advance of this linear and quadratic equations. When you talk about the graphs of quadratic equation, conditions of discriminant of the quadratic equations, questions on roots of the quadratic equation, and in linear equation, advanced linear equations, 1 equation, 2 variable, but the integers and all that stuff. And then you jump to exponents and then logarithm. And then you move to inequalities, then modulus, and at the end functions. This finishes off your algebra unit. So if you see, out of this 50 days of phase, 30 days I've spent on arithmetic and algebra because they are going to form around 14 questions to 15 questions in your exam. So this is very important. Now in this 30 days and all these arithmetic and algebra module, there will be some topics which you will feel comfortable with, I'm sure. Some, yes, we might lack, but we need to move on. Because if we don't move on now, we will not get the time to understand what is the best strategy for us. We will not get the time to make that accuracy which we need. We will not get the time to maintain that pace which we need on the day. So we have to keep moving. When we'll talk about the weaknesses, when we'll talk about rectifying those weaknesses, we'll rectify those areas, right? Now, once done with arithmetic and algebra, you need to move to geometry. Start with 2D, triangle, circle, quads, polygons. 5 days, spend most of the time on triangles. If you become good at this, learning this would be piece of cake. You can finish all of these in half days if you do this triangles very properly. So if you want to spend 2.5 days on triangle itself, and then the remaining 2.5 days on these three topics. Polygons is very small. Just take around 1 to 2 hours and you will be done with polygons. Quadrilateral 2 to 3 hours done, right? And then you jump to coordinate geometry, spend 2 days over here, right? In case you lag behind over here, do this in 1.5 day, half day extra give to polygon, and these 5 days to triangle, circle, and correlates only. And the last, surface area in 3D, that brings the end to our geometry module as well. And it is time when we start with modern math. Series, very important. Take 2 days for series, 3 days for PNC probability, where you spend most of the time on PNC because that's more important. Probability we have seen less in the past 4-5 years. Then we jump to sets. Why just 1 day on the sets? Because you are also dealing with the sets in your LRDI. So I'm very sure you have considered this in the DI as well. So here 1 day would do it, right? And then the final thing, that's number system. First 3 days, factors, multiples, HCF, LCM, they are all connected. And then the next 3 days on remainders, maximum power, automatically will get to see Euler theorem, unit digit theorem, all in this. And by that you finish up your course. Now these 50 days you took and you finished up your entire syllabus, right? And now it's the time for phase 3. Possibility you're not comfortable with, let us say 4 or 5 topics out of the all, but you need to move on. We cannot, spend more time over here. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for you to bring the best potential you have got, because it takes, guys, few mock tests, it takes few strategies to perform the best on the day that people neglect. They neglect that particular phases and they don't want to spend time on that. They just spread this around the 80 days, and on the last 10 days you have no idea what you are performing on the exam day because you haven't taken any mock, so you have no clue. You have no strategy when you're sitting over there. You just start with random question. You don't even know which topic you're good at. That's very important. So once you're done with this 50 questions, 50 days, move to phase 3. And this becomes one of your most important phase, the mock way, where you take the mock test. And it's not just about taking the mock test. You actually analyze it. How do you analyze it? You understand that, okay, while doing the mock test, what are the topics where I am getting the questions always correct? For majority of the people, they start targeting polygons, they start targeting logarithm. We are 100% sure one question of logarithm would be there, one question of polygon would be there. So they just go and attack. One question of profit loss would be there, they go and attack that. One question of profit, one question of percentage, one straight from ratio, one straight from series, they just go and attack those questions. So by that, they are planning that, okay, I need 14 questions, 15 questions, right? 5 will definitely come from here. Then I'll look for the sitters. In every paper out of 22, there are 6 to 7 sitters. Then they look for the sitters. Okay, these 6 sitters, 3 were already done, 3 rest, I'll finish them off. Then they look for the intermediate questions. And by the mock test, you just don't make those kind of strategies. You also get to understand that where you are going wrong. So you can recorrect your ways. You can understand that, okay, this particular is my weakness. I'm never able to do inequality question. And then you need to revisit. And you go back and you revisit that particular topic. So you're getting more time to rectify those areas which are left little bit, where you have a little bit of hiccups in the phase 2. There were some topics where we feel underconfident. Here is the time to work on that. So these 20 days, you will take at least 10 mocks, right? The first day you take the mock in the first half, in the second half you analyze it, and on the second day you work on your weakness. So by that, you're also getting 10 more days for the topics you need to work on in the phase 2, right? So now it's not just around those 50 days of covering syllabus. You also get another 10 days. But now it's not random topics which you are covering. And now the next 10 days you have given strategically. You're working on those topics which you were not able to understand in the first go. Alright. So now we are done with the phase 3 as well, and then comes the phase 4 when we focus on the speed. 10 days you would take when you focus on the speed. Here you decide, okay, these are the 5 topics which I'm very confident at now, which I'm able to do in each and every mock. Let's bring those on time so that if I'm able to do those 5 questions, let us say 100 seconds per question or 2 minutes per question, 10 minutes, 5 questions are done. And now I need 30 questions, or 30 minutes I have, and I just need around 9 to 10 questions. So now I have 3 or more minutes. So if you start the paper at that particular momentum, when you're done with 5 questions in 10 minutes, your confidence is top notch. You know that you already cleared the sectional cutoff. You know everything you're gonna get is increase your percentile beyond 85, and you just run through, you just sail through. That's the power of these next 3 phases which I've talked about, phase 3, 4 and 5. So focus on the speed and the accuracy. Now no more, just closing the eyes and leaving the arrow. No more what we call in Hindi, tukkabaji, right? No more guesses. Just plain accuracy. Okay, I've got this answer. This is in the options. Definitely show mark it up, right? Now, when we make those guesses, why a person make those guesses? When he feel that he has under attempted or she has under attempted, isn't it? When we feel like, oh, there were 22 questions, we have just done 4. Let's make some guesses. At least I'll get something. No. Or this is a paper in which if you're done 5 questions of 22, you're getting 85 percentile. Why won't you take your percentile behind 85? That in the case, let us say if the LRD and VRC was good, why would you take that risk? That the sectional cutoff is also not clarified, right? So if you're done with 5, no more guessing. And with the proper preparation, this phase wise, we will make sure that we are able to do 7 to 8 questions. So no more guesses. And the final thing, guys, of course, revisit mistakes. Now you have done 10 mocks. They'll help you again. So you understanding the benefit of the phase 3. Now, once you are doing those 10 mocks, you have maintained an error log. You know that, okay, I've got these questions wrong, revisit those questions. And automatically you have practiced a lot of questions then, right? 10 mocks itself means around, 22 questions per mock, 220 quant questions. They already mean that. And while you are rectifying your weakness, you will another, do at least you will do 10 to 20 questions for your weakness. So every 10 mocks around 200 more questions, 420 questions you have done. Revisit the mistakes of those 420 questions and you have done brilliant, isn't it? And then comes the final phase, phase 5. Once we have rectified, we are getting those scores, we are working on our accuracy and speed. Final phases, guys, the day, last 10 days for the day, it's time to relax. Just do light revision, no more mocks, no more new topics. Focus on the scoring topics, revisit the formulas. When I say focus on the scoring topics, when you are again looking at some questions, important questions, we say, make sure you look for the scoring topics. Arithmetic, algebra, profit loss, percentage. Light mocks you can do and PYQs. And when I say light mocks, they are simply the last 5 years papers. Now the point is, we have already done those last 5-year papers in the form of PYQ, and we were doing, practice questions, we were covering syllabus. So you will feel little confident because you will be able to do those PYQs in the last 10 days. So just focus on the PYQs, or you can attempt, if you really want to attempt some mocks, sir, I need to practice, but I want exam stimulated practice. So do those light mocks in the form of PYQs, right? And most importantly, maintain your biological clock in the last 10 days. You already know what slot you are in. Let us say I got to know that, okay, I'm going in the slot 3. Now when I go in the slot 3, it comes in the evening. So I'll just adjust my biological clock so that I am working at my best in the evening, right? My brain is working at 100% efficiency of mind, whatever I'm capable of, on, let us say, at that particular point of time where I have the slot. Many people does this mistake. They are, there are people who are late night people who study late at night, and suddenly when they get slot 1, now they're not able to wake up in the morning, or they are not working at their best potential in the morning, and ultimately what happens? They just are not able to play on their best potential again. And some people, what do? Is they are trying to achieve this biological clock in the last day or the penultimate day. But nothing like that. You need at least 10 days so that you start, working as per your slot timings. So the last 10 days are definitely kept for that. Adjust your biological clock, keep calm, stay positive. The aura around you must be positive. You must be confident whatever has happened in the mock test. You must be confident that, okay, I'm going there, I'm going out there and do best. We have seen that the people who were quite positive have scored much higher than the people who were afraid on the last day. Don't panic. Never let that panic button hit. I hope you got it. That was the 100 days plan for you. Remember, it's not just about covering the syllabus. It's about covering the syllabus, understanding the concepts, and also playing in such a way that you are able to apply these concepts under the pressure situation. And for that, you definitely need phase 3, 4, and 5, where you actually practice in the exam stimulated platform. You understand where your weakness lie. You understand how those 40 minutes look like. If you won't do those mocks, if you won't analyze that, you will never understand how that 40 minutes pass. I hope you got it. That is Rahul Batla, CAT 99.95 percentile, signing off. I hope my strategies would help you to get those stellar scores. Cheers and all the best. Make sure you score more than me. I believe in you. Let's create history together. Take care.